The giant screens inside the Krell command ship showed a small blue planet. Commander Torek stood tall, his gray skin shining under the bright lights. His 6 fingers tapped against the metal rail as he studied Earth with cold eyes. "Such a primitive world," he said. "They still fight among themselves. They burn fossil fuels. They have barely touched their own moon." Officer Mech nodded. "Our scans show they have nuclear weapons, but nothing that could reach our ships." "How long have they been watching this planet?" asked Torek. 50 Earth years. We have all their broadcasts, their internet data, their military secrets." Torek smiled. His teeth were sharp and white against his gray face. "And they have no idea we exist." "None, Commander." Across the room, another Krell worked at a control panel. "Resource scans complete, Commander. This planet has everything we need. Water, minerals, and organic compounds. It's perfect for colonization." Torek nodded. "And the humans?" "Expendable. They serve no useful purpose to the galaxy. The High Council has approved their removal." Torek walked to the main viewport. The fleet of 200 Krell warships hung in space, hidden behind Earth's moon. Each ship was bigger than anything humans had ever built, armed with weapons that could level cities. "Send the message," Torek ordered. "Let them know their time has come." On Earth, Jack Miller looked through his telescope at the night sky. As the chief astronomer at the Mountain View Observatory, he spent most nights studying stars. But tonight, something was different. "That can't be right," he whispered. The computer showed strange signals coming from behind the moon. He checked his equipment, then checked it again. The phone rang, making him jump. "Dr. Miller, this is General Ward from Strategic Command. Are you seeing this? The signals from the moon?" "Yes." "What is it?" "Every observatory and satellite in the world is picking it up now. Something's happening." As they spoke, Jack's computer screen flickered. The image changed to show a gray face with large black eyes. "People of Earth," the creature said in perfect English, "I am Commander Torek of the Krell Empire. Your planet is now under our control. Your resources belong to us. Your lives are in our hands." Jack felt his heart pound as the alien continued. "You have 24 hours to surrender all military forces and government control to Krell representatives who will arrive at these coordinates." A map appeared, showing landing sites around the world. "Resistance is pointless. Your weapons cannot harm us. Your technology is primitive. If you fight, you will be removed." The screen went dark. Jack's phone was ringing again. General Ward sounded scared now. "Did you see that? Is this some kind of joke?" Before Jack could answer, the sky lit up. Through the observatory dome, he saw bright lights streaming down from space. Dozens, then hundreds of them, like falling stars heading toward Earth. "It's not a joke," Jack said quietly. "They're already here." In Washington, London, Beijing, Moscow, and every capital city, emergency meetings began. Military forces went on high alert. People filled the streets, some running in panic, others standing in shock, looking at the sky. The President of the United States addressed the nation. "We face an unprecedented threat, but humanity will not surrender. We have faced disasters, wars, and catastrophes throughout our history. We have always survived. We will face this together as one people of Earth." Around the world, a strange thing happened. Nations that had been enemies for decades now shared information and resources. Old hatreds were set aside. In his ship, Commander Torek watched with amusement. "They're mobilizing their militaries. How quaint." Officer Mech looked concerned. "They're not surrendering." "Of course not," Torek said with a laugh. "It will make their defeat all the more satisfying. Begin the invasion." The sky burned red over New York as Krell ships fired their weapons. Great buildings that had stood for decades fell in seconds. People ran through streets filled with dust and smoke. Similar scenes played out in cities across the world. London, Tokyo, Moscow, all faced the same attack from above. Krell landing ships touched down in open areas, and alien soldiers marched out in perfect rows. Commander Torek watched from his ship, pleased with what he saw. The humans' military bases are being destroyed as planned, Officer Mech reported. Their aircraft fall before they can reach our ships. Their missiles cannot lock onto our vessels. Excellent, said Torek. Begin the next phase. Take their leaders. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, Captain Lisa Reed stood on the bridge of the U.S. Defiance. The nuclear submarine had been on a routine patrol when the attack began. Now, it was one of the few military assets still functioning. Captain, we've lost contact with Pacific Command, the radio operator said. We're picking up emergency broadcasts from all over. Lisa looked at the worried faces of her crew. What's our status? Fully armed. All systems operational. We're too deep for them to detect us. Lisa nodded. That gives us an advantage. They don't know we're here. She pointed to the map table. We need to understand what we're fighting. Let's move closer to this landing site near Hawaii. We'll observe and gather intelligence. As the submarine changed course, Lisa addressed her crew. I know you're worried about your families. So am I. But right now, we might be one of the few military units left that can fight back. We need to be smart about this. Dr. Jack Miller had escaped the observatory just before Krell forces arrived. Now he was driving east, his car filled with research equipment and data drives. The radio crackled with emergency broadcasts as he drove. All civilians should seek shelter immediately. Do not approach the alien vessels. Military forces are engaging the invaders. Jack knew that last part was wishful thinking. He had seen the initial attacks. Earth's militaries were being crushed. His phone rang. The caller ID showed unknown, but he answered anyway. Dr. Miller, this is General Ward. Are you safe? For now, I'm heading east. The observatory was taken. We need your help. We're establishing a research base underground. We've captured some alien technology. We need people who can understand it. Jack thought for a moment. I'll be there. Send me the coordinates. In his command ship, Torek received the first reports from ground forces. Resistance is stronger than expected, Commander, said the field leader. The humans are using guerrilla tactics. They strike quickly and then disappear. How many troops have we lost? Asked Torek. 23 so far. Out of how many thousand deployed? That is nothing. Yes, Commander. But it's more than expected. They're also adapting quickly. They've already learned to jam some of our short-range communications. Torek frowned. Impossible. Their technology is too primitive. Nevertheless, it's happening. Torek walked to the viewport, looking down at Earth. Increase our forces on the ground. I want this planet secured in 7 days. In a small fishing boat off the coast of Japan, a group of civilians watched as a damaged Krell shuttle crashed into the ocean. They quickly moved toward it. Be careful, said the boat captain. The aliens might still be alive. They approached cautiously. The shuttle was half submerged, its hull cracked. Inside, they found 2 dead Krell soldiers and a treasure trove of alien technology. Call the resistance, said the captain, picking up what looked like a weapon. Tell them what we found. Around the world, humans were beginning to organize. Military units that survived the initial attack went underground. Civilian resistance groups formed in occupied cities. Scientists gathered whatever alien technology they could find. In her submarine, Lisa Reed received a transmission from what remained of the military command. Captain Reed, we're designating you as Task Force Commander for Pacific Operations. Your mission, gather intelligence and prepare for counterattack. Lisa looked at her crew. Looks like we're not just hiding anymore. We're going hunting. In the depths of the ocean, hidden from Krell sensors, the Defiance changed course, becoming one of humanity's first weapons in what would become a very unexpected war. 2 weeks after the invasion began, Dr. Jack Miller stood in an underground bunker, examining a piece of Krell technology. The bunker had once been a missile silo. now converted into a research facility. Scientists from around the world worked here, protected by layers of rock and metal that blocked Krell scanners. "Look at this," Jack said to Dr. Tom Wells, a military scientist who specialized in weapons. "Their communication device uses a frequency pattern I've never seen before." Tom adjusted his glasses. "Can we use it?" "Maybe," Jack replied. "But I think we can do something better. We might be able to listen to their communications." A soldier entered the room. "Doctors, we have a new delivery." Captain Reed's team captured a Krell shuttle. Jack and Tom hurried to the loading dock. A truck had arrived, carrying parts of a damaged shuttle. Workers unloaded pieces of alien metal and strange devices. "This is exactly what we need," Jack said, examining the shuttle's control panel. Captain Lisa Reed stood on a beach at night, watching her team load equipment into boats. After weeks of gathering intelligence, she was ready for a bigger mission. "The Krell have a main base here," she told her officers, pointing to a map. "They're using it to coordinate attacks across the Pacific. We're going to hit it tonight." "With what?" asked her second-in-command. "We have limited weapons." Lisa smiled. "With their own technology." She pointed to modified Krell weapons that her team had recovered and repurposed. "Dr. Miller sent these. They work better than our old guns." As they prepared to leave, Lisa received a radio message. "Captain, this is Dr. Miller. We've made a discovery about the Krell that you should know." "What is it?" she asked. "They've never fought a long war before. Their history shows they unified their planet thousands of years ago. Since then, they've only conquered species that surrendered quickly." Lisa thought about this. "So they don't know how to handle resistance." "Exactly. And there's more. They're having trouble adapting to Earth's environment. Their equipment is failing in certain conditions: humidity, extreme temperatures." "That's good news," Lisa said. "We can use that." Commander Torek faced the holographic image of the Krell High Leader. The meeting was not going well. "Your reports show unacceptable delays," said the High Leader. "The human planet should have been secured by now." Torek tried to hide his frustration. "The humans are more resourceful than expected. They've adapted some of our technology and are using it against us." "Impossible. They are primitives." "Primitives who learn quickly," Torek said. "They're hiding underground and underwater, where our scanners have difficulty finding them. They strike in small groups and disappear." The High Leader's expression darkened. "The Krell Empire does not accept failure, Commander. You have 30 more days to complete this conquest." After the communication ended, Officer Mech approached Torek. "Commander, we have another problem. Our ground troops report equipment failures. The planet's humidity is affecting our weapons. The temperature extremes are damaging our vehicles." Torek slammed his fist on the control panel. "Fix it. I will not be defeated by these humans." In cities around the world, resistance grew stronger. Humans learned that Krell soldiers couldn't see well in darkness. They discovered that Krell communication systems failed during electrical storms. Every weakness was shared through hidden networks, from person to person, group to group. In the research bunker, Jack made an exciting discovery. "Look at this," he told Tom, pointing to his computer screen. "I've identified a pattern in their communication system. We can create a virus to disrupt it." "How long will it take?" Tom asked. "A few days, but once it's ready, we can shut down their ability to coordinate attacks." Jack sent a message to Lisa. "Keep hitting them. They're not used to long conflicts. Their equipment is failing. We're finding their weaknesses." Lisa read the message on her submarine. She looked at her crew, who waited for orders. "We have new targets," she announced, "and a new strategy." The Krell are starting to realize they picked a fight with the wrong species. Around the world, humans began to fight back more effectively. The invaders who had expected an easy victory now faced a determined enemy who refused to surrender and was learning how to win. 1 month after the invasion, Dr. Jack Miller held a small device in his hand. It looked simple, just a box with an antenna. but it represented humanity's best hope. "Is it ready?" Dr. Tom Wells asked, leaning over Jack's workbench. Jack nodded. "The virus is complete. When activated, it will spread through the Krell communication network. Their ships won't be able to talk to each other." A military officer stepped forward. "How do we deploy it?" "We need to upload it directly to one of their main communication towers," Jack explained. "Someone has to get close enough." The officer nodded. "I'll contact Captain Reed. Her team is our best option." Lisa Reed crouched in the shadows near a Krell base. The alien structure rose into the night sky, glowing with strange lights. 6 of her best soldiers waited beside her, each carrying weapons modified from Krell technology. "The communication tower is in the center," she whispered, pointing. "We need to reach it, upload the virus, and get out." One of her soldiers checked a device that tracked Krell movements. "Patrol coming. 3 minutes." Lisa looked at the small device Jack had sent her. The fate of humanity might depend on this mission. "Remember," she told her team, "the Krell can't see well in darkness. They rely on their technology. Use that against them." When the patrol passed, they moved forward, staying in the shadows. They had studied Krell patterns for weeks. Now it was time to use that knowledge. Commander Torek paced on his ship's bridge. The conquest of Earth was taking too long. The High Leader was growing impatient. "Our base in what humans call Australia has fallen," Officer Mech reported. "Humans used our own weapons against us." "How is that possible?" Torek demanded. "They've learned to modify our technology. They're adapting faster than any species we've encountered." Torek looked at the battle maps. Red dots showed areas where Krell forces had lost ground. There were too many red dots. "Send more troops to the major bases," he ordered. "Double the guards on all communication towers." "Sir," another officer interrupted, "we're detecting a problem with the North American communication network." Before Torek could respond, alarms began to sound throughout the ship. Inside the Krell base, Lisa reached the communication tower. Guards lay unconscious behind her, taken down silently by her team. "How much time do we need?" she asked the tech specialist with her. 2 minutes to upload the virus." Lisa nodded. "Do it. We'll cover you." The specialist connected Jack's device to the Krell system. Numbers flashed on its small screen as the virus began to upload. Suddenly, alarms blared. Lights flashed across the base. "They've spotted us," Lisa said. "Hurry." 30 more seconds, the specialist replied, working faster. Krell soldiers appeared, firing energy weapons. Lisa and her team fired back, using modified Krell guns that they had learned to improve. "Upload complete," the specialist shouted. "Fall back," Lisa ordered. "Mission accomplished." As they retreated, something strange happened. The Krell soldiers stopped firing. They touched their helmets in confusion. Their communications had gone silent. On his ship, Torek watched in horror as his control screens went dark. Communication with ground forces failed. Ship-to-ship systems crashed. "What's happening?" he demanded. "Some kind of virus," an officer replied. "It's shutting down all communications." Torek slammed his fist on the control panel. "These humans are not primitives. They are dangerous." Around the world, resistance forces received the signal. The Krell were vulnerable. In every occupied city, humans emerged from hiding to attack enemy positions. Military units struck Krell bases simultaneously. In the research bunker, Jack watched reports coming in from across the globe. "It's working," he told Tom. "The Krell can't coordinate their forces." Tom smiled. "And we've learned something else important. The Krell think as one. They don't know how to act independently." "Unlike humans," Jack said, "we've been fighting each other for thousands of years. We know how to adapt." For the first time since the invasion began, humans were winning battles. The tide was turning. 2 months into the war, the underground research facility buzzed with activity. Scientists and soldiers crowded around a large object covered with a tarp. Dr. Jack Miller nodded, and two soldiers pulled the tarp away, revealing a Krell fighter ship. "We've rebuilt it," Jack announced proudly, "and improved it." Dr. Tom Wells pointed to modified parts. "We replaced damaged systems with our own technology. It flies better than before. Faster, more responsive." General Ward, the military leader who had recruited Jack, walked around the ship. "Can we build more?" "We already are," Tom replied. "Teams around the world are following our design. We'll have a fleet within weeks." Jack climbed into the pilot's seat. "But that's not the best part. Show them, Tom." Tom pressed a button on a tablet. A holographic map appeared, showing Krell ship positions. "We've cracked their navigation system," Jack explained. "We can track every Krell ship now. And with this fighter, we can attack them." On her submarine, now renamed Humanity's Hope, Captain Lisa Reed met with commanders from resistance groups across the Pacific region. They gathered around a table with maps and plans. "The Krell are losing ground," Lisa said. "Their main base in Japan fell yesterday. Australia is almost free. Now we take the fight to them." She pointed to the map. "Our scientists have modified 5 submarines with Krell technology. We can now attack their ships from underwater, where they can't detect us." A resistance leader from the Philippines spoke up. "The people are ready. We've trained thousands to use Krell weapons." Lisa nodded. "Then it's time for the next phase. Operation Payback begins tomorrow." Commander Torek faced the Krell High Council. Their faces showed anger and disgust. "Your failure is unprecedented," said the High Leader. "A primitive species is defeating our forces." "They are not primitive," Torek argued. "We misjudged them. They adapt faster than any species we've encountered. They're using our own technology against us." Another council member spoke. "We should withdraw our forces. This planet is not worth the losses." "Withdraw," the High Leader demanded. "The Krell Empire has never retreated. Send more ships, double the invasion force." Torek tried to object. "The humans have learned to target our ships. They've developed weapons that—" "Enough," the High Leader interrupted. "You have one more chance, Commander. Crush these humans, or you will be replaced." As the communication ended, Officer Mech approached Torek. "Commander, we have a serious problem. Human vessels are attacking our ships in orbit. They're using our own fighters." Torek rushed to the viewport just in time to see explosions in the distance. Human-piloted Krell fighters were attacking his fleet. The first human attack in space began with 12 captured and modified Krell fighters. Pilots trained in simulators now faced the real thing, engaging enemy ships above Earth. "Stay in formation," ordered the lead pilot over the radio. "Target their engines like we practiced." The human fighters moved differently than Krell ships. Where Krell pilots followed strict patterns, humans were unpredictable, dodging and weaving. Krell gunners, programmed to target known flight patterns, struggled to hit the human-piloted ships. One by one, Krell vessels took damage. In the ocean below, Lisa's submarine fleet launched missiles at Krell ships from underwater. The aliens had no defense against this unknown threat. More explosions lit up the sky. "Direct hit on the command vessel," reported a submarine officer. Lisa watched through the periscope as a massive Krell ship listed to one side, flames erupting from its hull. "Send the message to all resistance groups," she ordered. "Operation Payback is successful. Phase 2 begins immediately." In the research facility, Jack received the news. They did it. They hit the Krell fleet. Tom looked up from his work. "Perfect timing. Look what we just finished." He showed Jack a new device. It can disable a Krell ship's engines completely. One shot, and they're dead in space. Jack smiled. "How soon can we get it to Captain Reed?" "Transport leaves tonight." For the first time, Jack allowed himself to believe humans might actually win this war. The invaders who came to conquer Earth were learning a painful lesson about humanity. 3 months into the war, Earth had changed. Cities lay in ruins, but human spirit remained unbroken. In fact, it was stronger than ever. Lisa Reed, now Admiral of Earth's United Defense Force, stood on the bridge of the Retribution, a captured Krell destroyer. Around her ship flew a fleet of 50 modified Krell vessels, all piloted by humans. "Status report," she commanded. Her second-in-command, who had been with her since the submarine days, checked the displays. "All ships ready, Admiral. Earth's surface is 90% free of Krell forces. Only their largest bases remain." Lisa nodded, looking at the stars above. "Then it's time. Take us to the edge of the solar system." The fleet moved outward, beyond Mars, beyond Jupiter, to where the remaining Krell armada waited. This would be humanity's boldest move yet, bringing the fight to the main invasion force. In the Central Research Facility, Jack Miller had a visitor. Commander Torek, now a prisoner, sat in a cell, watching Jack work. "Your species continues to surprise me," Torek said. "No one has ever captured a Krell commander before." Jack didn't look up from his computer. "No one has ever defeated the Krell before. But here we are." Torek moved closer to the energy barrier of his cell. "The High Council will send more ships. Thousands more. We're counting on it," Jack replied with a smile. "We've been studying your faster-than-light communication system. We can now understand every message between your ships and your homeworld." He turned his screen to show Torek. On it was a complete map of Krell territory, including their home planet. Torek's gray face turned pale. "Impossible. You've only had our technology for months. It took us centuries to develop FTL communication. Humans are good at figuring things out," Jack said, "especially when our survival depends on it." The human fleet reached the edge of the solar system. There, the remaining Krell invasion force waited, 200 ships strong. Lisa addressed all ships. "This is Admiral Reed. We've trained for this. We know their weaknesses. They think in straight lines. We don't. Use that advantage." The battle began. Krell ships fired in coordinated patterns, expecting human vessels to follow predictable evasion tactics. Instead, Earth pilots flew in ways that made no sense to Krell commanders, diving straight at enemy ships before veering away at the last second, splitting formations randomly, using maneuvers that seemed suicidal but worked. "Group 3, deploy the engine killers," Lisa ordered. Small fighters released Jack's newest weapon, devices that attached to Krell ships and shut down their engines. One by one, Krell vessels went dark, drifting helplessly in space. On the Krell flagship, the High Leader watched in disbelief. "How is this happening?" he demanded. "They're using tactics we've never seen." A Krell officer replied, "They're not following any known battle protocol. Each human ship acts independently, but somehow their chaos becomes coordinated." The High Leader had never known fear until this moment. "Send a message to the homeworld. We need reinforcements immediately." But the message never went through. Human technology now blocked Krell communications. Back on Earth, Jack worked with scientists worldwide, connected through a network that had grown from the resistance movement. "The translation system is complete," he announced to his team. "We can now fully understand Krell language and technology." Dr. Tom Wells looked up from his workstation. "Just in time. Look at this." On a large screen, they watched the battle at the edge of the solar system. Human ships surrounded the Krell fleet. Many alien vessels drifted powerless in space. Jack activated the communication system. "Admiral Reed, we're ready with the final phase. You can deploy the message." In space, Lisa received Jack's signal. She pressed a button on her command console. Every functioning Krell ship received the same transmission, in perfect Krell language. "Your fleet is defeated. Your homeworld is now within our reach. Surrender, or Earth's fleet will enter Krell space. The choice is yours." For the first time in their long history of conquest, the Krell faced an ultimatum from a species they had tried to destroy. 4 months after the invasion began, the war ended. Not with the extinction of humanity as the Krell had planned, but with the surrender of the entire Krell Empire. In what was once the United Nations building in New York, now rebuilt after the attacks, Admiral Lisa Reed and Dr. Jack Miller stood before representatives from every nation on Earth. Beside them stood a delegation of Krell, including the High Leader himself. "Today marks a new chapter in human history," announced the Secretary General. "The Krell Empire has formally surrendered and agreed to our terms." The High Leader, once proud and confident, now looked defeated. He stepped forward to sign the peace treaty. "The Krell Empire agrees to provide reparations for the damage caused to Earth. We will share all our technology and knowledge. We acknowledge humanity's right to exist and prosper among the stars." After the signing, Jack spoke quietly to Lisa. "Did you ever think we'd end up here when this all started?" Lisa shook her head. "When I was hiding in that submarine, I just hoped some humans would survive. I never imagined we'd be accepting their surrender." 1 week later, Jack sat in his laboratory, studying data from Krell star charts. Commander Torek, no longer a prisoner but a reluctant advisor, stood nearby. "There are 17 other spacefaring civilizations in this sector alone," Jack said, pointing to the star map. "Some are allies of the Krell, some are enemies." "The Krell kept knowledge of other species from you," Torek admitted. "We feared if you knew about them, you might seek allies." Jack smiled. "We're seeking those allies now. Lisa is leading our first diplomatic mission next month." Torek looked uncomfortable. "Many species will fear humans now. The species that defeated the Krell in mere months." "They don't need to fear us if they don't attack us," Jack replied. "We never wanted this war." On the bridge of the Unity, Earth's first purpose-built starship, combining human and Krell technology, Admiral Lisa Reed prepared for departure. The ship would visit 3 nearby star systems that had suffered under Krell rule. "All systems ready, Admiral," reported her second-in-command. "The Krell navigators have plotted our course." Lisa nodded. "Begin final preparations. We launch tomorrow." The Earth's first ambassador approached her. "The President asked me to give you this." He handed her a small Earth flag, the first to fly in another solar system. Lisa took the flag carefully. "We carry the hopes of everyone back home." In what had been the Krell High Council chamber on a planet 20 light-years from Earth, major changes were underway. Krell society, unchanged for thousands of years, was being forced to evolve. "The humans have requested that we free all subjugated species," said a council member. "They insist on it as part of the peace terms." The High Leader, stripped of much of his power, could only nod. "Do as they say. We cannot risk their anger again." Another council member spoke up. "Perhaps we should learn from them. Their adaptability, their creativity. These are strengths we once had but lost." "Yes," agreed the High Leader, surprising everyone. "We became stagnant. The humans showed us our weakness." 6 months after the invasion, Jack Miller stood on a hillside, looking up at the night sky. Construction crews worked nearby, building Earth's first space elevator, a project that would have taken decades with human technology alone, but would be completed in months with Krell help. Tom Wells joined him. "The first colony ships leave next week. Mars will have human settlements by the end of the year." Jack nodded. "And the fleet has grown to over 300 ships. We're expanding faster than anyone thought possible." "The Krell did us a favor in a way," Tom said. "Without the invasion, how long would it have taken us to reach the stars?" Jack smiled. "They came to conquer us. Instead, they unleashed humanity on the galaxy." Above them, new satellites orbited Earth, broadcasting a message to the cosmos in hundreds of languages. "Humanity has joined the galactic community. We come in peace, but we will defend ourselves if threatened." The species that had been dismissed as primitives now stood as equals among the stars. And the Krell, who had declared war on humanity, would forever remember the day they prayed for mercy.